Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Young Gun in the Time, a Korean genre bender from 2012 that could be described as a thriller, action, comedy hybrid. A young detective investigates the death of a mysterious client which may be linked to a time travel device and a hitman who kills people by, get this, shoving clocks into their eyeballs. So yeah, this is a good one. Now this movie begins with a dude in a small museum-like setting getting attacked by an assassin who is using a knife. It's a pretty cool scene. Then we meet our main protagonist who wears a hat, talks to his voluptuous boss about business matters, and a client shows up and wants him to find her lost beetle pet. Like, this lady, keeps beetles as pets. So, in any case, he decides to take the job. He solves this introductory case rather quickly. And then by the 15-minute mark, we're thrust into our main investigation. So this movie does not waste a lot of time getting to its primary story. Young Gun in the Time is almost like a traditional noir movie, updated to the present day and infused with a science fiction component. So this weird combination gives this film some novelty and makes the premise more intriguing than if it were simply and solely a traditional noir film or a modern time travel movie. And it's not really a mainstream blockbuster type of film. More of a niche film production, and it's reflected in its budget. This film was made for like 30,000 American dollars or something like that, I read, which is pretty crazy. Financing came from multiple sources, one of which was Japanese director Kaizo Hayashi himself, an incredibly interesting filmmaker who really needs more exposure internationally. But I have reviewed a few of his movies on this channel, specifically So Sleep, So As to Dream, and The Trap. And some of his movies, especially the Mike Yokohama franchise, have a very strong noirish, classic noir feel to them. So when I read that he partially funded Young Gun in the Time, it made perfect sense to me. I mean, yeah, okay, it makes sense why this guy was interested in funding this film. We have an everyday man, private detective, gets himself in a dangerous situation involving an act of murder that's over his head, and then he tries to solve a mystery. He wears a hat, for goodness sakes. I mean, a lot here is framed in that classic noir kind of movie vibe, but it's also kind of updated in the 2010s context. So it's pretty interesting. And since the different genres here are blended together so nicely, this film has a certain charm to it. It's funny when it needs to be, suspenseful when it needs to be, and the time travel components never get too confusing. It keeps things fairly simple here. Sometimes when you watch a time travel movie, by the end of the movie, you're I have no idea what the heck happened here. You don't have to worry about that here. All right. Now, despite being a fairly micro-budget film, this looks and feels more expensive than it actually is. Give credit to the production team in that regard. Editing, direction, music, all quite good in this. There are even some entertaining chases and knife fights, actually. The second knife fight, I think, is kind of a step above the first one in terms of its execution. And the finale features a very surprising and interesting death scene I can't really say I've ever seen before. So this movie has some uniqueness to it, all right? There are a few recognizable supporting actors and actresses. I recognized Choi Sung-hung, who was the supporting actress in Midnight FM, and the lead actor, Hong So-baek, was not recognizable to me at all. I mean, I don't recognize the guy at all. Very limited acting career and tends to play supporting characters. But he co-directed a horror movie anthology called The Neighbor Zombie from 2010, which I reviewed in my Asian horror playlist. So kind of interesting kind of group of filmmakers here. Even if you don't recognize the actor, you may recognize some of the films he directed. And the director of Young Gun in the Time, in this case, has not directed a film since this film has been released. And remember, this film was released in 2012. So, that's kind of weird. Very odd. And kind of a shame, really, because he's got some legitimate talent. I always enjoy seeing like a good quality, offbeat movie. And that's what this is. Anytime I come across a situation like this, where a filmmaker makes an interesting movie and doesn't make anything sense, it just feels weird to me, It feels weird to me. But it also makes these films quite special, because it's one of the few cases where these filmmakers were allowed to, I guess, express their artistic thoughts and stuff like that. So, if you're in the mood for a neat genre bender, maybe on the low budget side, but it's a neat genre bender, check this out, because this is I would classify this as like a hidden gem. Never hear anyone talk about this flick, but it's one that I just watched back in the day. I just rented it, and it was really cool. So I recommend Young Gun in the Time. It has a few different elements to it, and check this one out. And as always, folks, I will see you next time. Oh, it's available on Region 3 DVD. I'll see you next time.